Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Delighted to have your company on the second afternoon of India Energy Week, and what a day and a half we've had here, and progressing on that journey of discourse and profound dialogues is another one. We have another one for you. Simply put, as it says in the masthead, city gas distribution networks have become a key facet of energy needs and servicing energy needs in metropolitan areas. So we're here to discuss establishing global models for CGD networks. Now, let's take a step back, look at the backstory of it, and by most projections, whether you look at investment banks, multilaterals, economists, forecasters, everybody seems to think that CGD networks are going to sort of double in network within, say, a decade or so between here and 2035. So what's the approaching horizons going to be like? What sort of frameworks do we require? What are the challenges, the opportunities? And to decode, decipher that, we have an all-star cast of eminent industry leaders joining us today. First off is Mr. Suresh Manglani, who's the Executive Director and CEO of Adani Total Gas Limited. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Gautam Chakrabarti, who's the CEO of GAIL Gas Limited. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Kamal Kishore Chatwal, who's the Managing Director of Indraprastha Gas Limited. Welcome, sir. Avalesh Gupta, MD and CEO of Think Gas. Good to have you, company, sir. And last but certainly not the least, industry veteran Mr. Sandeep Jain is with us. He's the former Executive Director of Gas at Indian Oil Corporation Limited. Gentlemen, delighted to have your company. Let me jump straight into it. Mr. Manglani, I'll go to you first. Look, the stall has been set. We know about CGD networks, but just to kick off our conversations, how do you view the gas distribution network landscape, and what are your antennae telling you from what you view out there in the market, sir?
Thank you, Gaurav. First of all, thanks to India Energy Week for inviting Adani Total Gas on this platform. It's a very prestigious platform, and you have given us opportunity. Thank you very much. Now, from the city gas distribution landscape perspective, I think many things in front of us. All of us are the beneficiary of this initiative, the transformation which we have seen in India. That entire India today, barring one or two islands, has been fully authorized by the government, the regulator. That itself will give you the perspective that what's the kind of a vision government of India or state governments are pursuing. So that is one aspect. Second, I think as we speak today, almost all the places, various large number of districts, maybe 780 districts which have been authorized, almost all places, different CGD companies which have got authorization are continuously working and accelerating infrastructure, and you are seeing several reports which are coming up is showing you very clearly that how the infrastructure, steel pipeline, MDP pipeline or a CNG network or home connections are going up. Yesterday, Honorable Prime Minister also touched upon this CGD into his speech. So from the perspective of landscape, I think there is onus is now on us to make it more and more accelerated and successful. Policy makers are doing their job. They are continuously transforming the policy to enable us to deliver higher targets. From a global perspective, I think if you look at it, as the Indian CGD market has evolved since 80s, originally we used to have gas distribution network localized. Mumbai used to have the gas localized, where the coal-based gas used to be manufactured and then it used to be supplied by Bombay Gas. And then Mahanagar Gas came, or all of us, many more companies came. Gujarat Gas is there. And you are seeing now the electrofusion MDP came in. That was one of the best practice which came from overseas, from British Gas.
Sure.
So India has adopted large number of best practices, large number of equipments originally used to be imported. Electrofusion fittings used to be imported, compressor used to be imported, boosters used to be imported. Large number of equipments were coming from abroad only. Slowly, as we have grown, the scale has gone up. We are seeing Make in India happening. The meters are being manufactured now. Smart meters are being manufactured. So I think industry is evolving at an accelerated pace. And now is the time, for even several parts of the world. And we are seeing We are getting several requests, and every CGD company is getting requests. Internationally, people are seeking interest that whether we would like to develop the city gas distribution, replicate the example of like IGL Delhi, which is fully CNG city, or the PNG network they have extensively done. We have done in several other parts of the India. So I think now, in fact, India is being seen as one of the country where several best practices, whether in terms of conceptualization of a project or in terms of execution of a project, network planning, operation of the project, with several initiatives which we take on advocacy fronts or on the volume growth front. I think world is watching us, in fact, and they are looking forward, how do we replicate India's model to the various parts of the world. So I think from my perspective, I am seeing a very exciting time working for a CGD industry. CGD industry is responding to the policy framework which is being done. And we are also seeing whether it is MOPNG or the PNGRB regulator and state governments. There used to be a time when we used to push very hard for several policies and permissions. Today, largely, if you see state after state, because every state is looking forward investment in their state, employment generation in their state. So CGD is one of the vehicle where state governments also feels that when we come in the state, we develop ancillaries, we develop associated and affiliated businesses around it. There is an economic development of a state. So I think CGD is now being given, if I may say so, that kind of a red carpet, that what policies are required for a CGD entity to come in and invest and develop infrastructure. So all in all, 360, I think it is a very positive momentum is happening on the CGD side, and responsibility lies with the CGD developers like all of us to continuously respond and accelerated infrastructure development.
Mr. Chakravarti, Mr. Mangalani has set the stall. We talk about economic development, we talk about supply chains. What is GAIL's viewpoint? What is your reading, sir?
As far as energy landscape is concerned, I think CGD, as Mr. Mangalani has told, that it is taking the center stage now. And if you see in India's perspective, around over 20% is now is total energy consumption is through CGD, and we are expecting that within 3-4 years it will be reaching around 30% of that. And probably now it is in the second position after fertilizer. Probably it will be taking that position, center positions or first positions within a couple of years' time. So for the CGD systems, and as GAIL, if you see that GAIL Gas is a 100% subsidiary of GAIL. GAIL has got 78 geographical areas, if you see. So it is a huge number of geographical areas which GAIL's JV group is having. And as far as GAIL is concerned, so our main focus is now is on the CGD, because the main focus area is CGD, and it is now growing. And as I told that probably within a couple of years we will be reaching 30% of the total consumption. So as far as GAIL is concerned, the main focus is now on CGD only.
Mr. Chutwal, if we look at if I may turn the question a tiny bit, this is in this industry is all about learning and teaching. So, what can in your considered professional opinion, what can India teach the world as far as advancing C, and what can we learn perhaps from elsewhere?
Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you, Gaurav. Fellow panelists, guests, invited guests, delegates for the conference, a very good afternoon, and a special thanks to the audience, I would say. That's a very difficult time, but they thought it very important. The topic is very important, and I must thank all of you for giving importance to this topic, and thank India Energy Week for a session on CGD. That's point number one. Second is that yesterday Prime Minister talked about the century belonging to India.
Sir.
And I think within that, the next decade is going to belong to the CGD sector. So why I'm saying that is that whatever success we have achieved within India, be it CNG, PNG, both industrial, commercial, as well as domestic, Now, what we are doing is going out and replicating the same success, as he said, Miglani Saab said, the success of Delhi and NCR region, we are trying to replicate to internationally to other countries also. Because slowly and slowly, gas is playing a central role. If you look at next 10, 15 years or 20 years, major themes of the world, be it decarbonization, be it sustainability, be it circularity, or affordability, energy security, in every aspect, the CGD has a central role to play. So that is what we feel that the next decade is going to belong to CGD sector. And the beauty is that the infrastructure, whatever is built, that can be used for the future fuels, be it renewable natural gas or waste to energy, waste to gas projects. So that can be used there. And whatever knowledge we have got, I mean, IGL, I mean, subsequent, maybe this next round, I will share some of the case studies that we are doing in our GAs, where, you know, the future, what should be the vision of the gas-based economy that we talk about, what should be the vision of that, and how it is fitting into all the themes that we are talking about.
Sure.
So that may be in the next round, but yes, the success of city gas is being replicated in the world, and shortly, I mean, we will be demonstrating that. I mean, since the tendering process is on, so I will not like to comment on that.
Absolutely. Mr. Gupta, if I may come to you, the Honorable Prime Minister yesterday and Minister Puri also alluded to the fact one very key facet of this which applies to CGD is that the price positivity for the Indian consumer is paramount. Affordability and security of supplies. Our urban centers in this country, perhaps the world, are magnets for attracting the human population. That to solve that conundrum, to solve the challenge of energy demands of some of the biggest metropolitan areas in the world, where does CGD figure, and what is your viewpoint on that, sir?
Thank you, Gaurav, for having us here. So we are the largest foreign direct investment, 100% foreign direct investment company in the country. And our focus is that when the highest level of the country is talking about gas playing a major role in energy security from 6 to 15%, it essentially means that gas is going to play a major role in urbanization, handling and providing the safe economical energy to the customers. It also plays very significant role in not only for providing gas to the domestic household industries, but also to the vehicles. Now, we have seen that wherever the percentage of gas in an energy basket is higher, most of the places it is used in power generation. However, India is uniquely placed where power generation is not happening in a great manner with the gas, and gas remaining at 6%. But then we have a unique opportunity of CNG, which is playing a very major role, and we have demonstrated in the last 5-6 years that when the CNG infrastructure has rolled out in the country, the usage of gas and the contribution of CGD sector in the overall basket has improved and increasing day by day. So we are uniquely placed, and this is the time when the infrastructure development has happened, and it is going to happen much faster. CNG can play a very wide role for increasing and immediately giving the result to increase the gas share, entire gas share. And once the CGD and the CNG plays a major role, it is of course rightly priced, fuel is rightly priced as well. It is cheaper than diesel, petrol. There are certain bottlenecks with respect to taxation and the treating the fuel differently than the other alternate fuel which are dirty. But barring this, I think providing unique opportunity to India, CNG can play a very wide role and also make the overall gas much cheaper. Because if you are in a position to increase the gas quantum itself, any additional molecule become quite cheaper. So it's very important that CNG should be promoted significantly. Rest all sector, industrial, domestic, automatically will develop.
Ms. Jain, over to you. I'll tweak the question again, expand on the affordability paradigm by asking you, if you're talking about CGD networks being at the heart of consumer affordability, it also has to be, the operator has to make a margin, the operator has to find it viable too. How do we balance the need for affordability for the citizenry and for the operator to make the operations viable?
Thank you, Gaurav, and thank you, India Energy Week, and of course, thank you, the audience. I know it's very difficult immediately after the lunch to attend such sessions. Well, Gaurav, it's a very pertinent question to be asked today. Affordability is not only important to the Indian consumers, but at the same time, running a CGD company should also be affordable to the CGD promoters. It's very important for us to delve into this point and find out a solution for that, because unfortunately the outlook is bright, but at the same time, due to some confusion in the overall scenario of the policies and regulator, the development at the pace which is expected is not taking place. So there is much to be done. I would say the auction round is over. Now the execution round needs to start. As far as affordability is concerned, yes, definitely today with the APM cuts and all that which are happening, and that also are happening with a lot of unpredictability. Sometimes you have around 30%, 30 to 34% only APM availability to CGD sector. Sometimes it goes up to 50%. Sometimes currently it is around 40%. So therefore, there has to be a certainty so that the rest of the gas which is to be procured by the CGD operator, they are able to, kind of plan it. And time has come now for CGD operators to plan it on a long-term basis. They need to adopt a very judicious portfolio approach so that, okay, 40% is given to them. What about 60%? You can't depend upon spot, because spot, there is a lot of volatility in pricing. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it comes down. So there has to be a very judicious, adequate, suitable mix of spot, long-term, and even medium-term gas which needs to be, procured by CGD companies, so that they are able to, first of all, they are able to provide, there are three things. They are able to provide, number one, competitive alternative to the alternative fuels. Number two, they are able to provide affordable fuel solution to the consumers. And number three, they are also able to make good margins out of it. Because until and unless they don't make margins, Gaurav, then there is no point. I mean, the CGD development, which right now, I would say it is only 30 to 20%, 30 to 40%, which is achieved. It will never peak towards the 100%, where we want it to be there, because our Honorable Prime Minister has already announced that we need to increase the gas in the basket from 6%, energy basket from 6% to 15%. How is it going to happen? I mean, there are so many challenges. There are state policies are different, central policies are different, the regulator wants one thing, and the policymakers think about another thing. Time has come that all the stakeholders, they need to sit together in peace and find out a very synergized solution. I mean, of course, during the course of the session, all the other speakers will also speak about what is required to be done. There's a lot required to be done so that we are able to really achieve and make India a gas-based economy. Thank you.
Absolutely. Eloquently put, Ms. Jain. I think one of the pressing issues that the audience have thought about, and some of the feedback that we've taken on board in terms of framing the dialogue is about what technologies can be brought to bear to make them make CGs more efficient. And another thing is, of course, the idea about regulatory frameworks and the sort of benchmarking and frameworks that exist. So perhaps, Mr. Gupta, if I may come to you, let's have a word on some of the technologies that have come to bear, that are improving the efficiencies of CGDs. Is there any particular case that springs to your mind? And perhaps, after you, perhaps an adequate question to Mr. Chatwal, but Mr. Gupta, let's start with you first, sir.
Yeah, so it's a nice question actually. So I have seen that when our promoters, one of the promoters are large Japanese utilities, and they have the technologies which is much more advanced than what India have been using, and also the other part of the world. What we have started is that whatever industry has been using, either natural gas or the coal or any furnace oil, etc., we are working with them to ensure that energy is efficiency is improved while the natural gas is used. There are several other wastages, the changing of equipment, the new technologies, everything we are bringing from Japan, trying to bring in Japan and demonstrating it by way of experiment to some of the customers. And then there is a visible demonstration to other customers also that even if gas is slightly cheaper than your alternate fuel, then overall scheme, looking at the pollution level, looking at the other nuances of you using the polluted fuel, the overall scheme you are still better off. So this is something which has been developed over 100 years by our Japanese investors. We are trying to replicate in India. The second important part which we have been doing is implementation of SCADA tech from the day one. Most of the CGD entities, they have gradually moved to the SCADA. Initially they started, but our company, every technological implementation has happened from the day one, day zero. We have a excellent control room. We see that each and every vehicle movement is tracked. Every pipeline depth is measured, geotech. So this is something which is also giving us a unique opportunity to reduce our operating cost as well.
Sure. Mr. Chatwal, over to you. Any example from amongst your operating portfolio that you're really proud of that amplifies the efficiency argument?
Yeah. Just to take from what Jain Saab said, that 40% is APM and 60% has to be sourced by CGD entities. So now what we have demonstrated is that it is possible to replace this 60% with renewable natural gas. So that is what we have done in one of our GAs, sir, which is running 100% on domestic gas, be it APM or be it the CBG. So that GA is Cathal, where we have integrated all three modes of evacuation of CBG, that is through cascade, MDP, as well as steel. So it has three avenues where it can go, and it is self-sufficient, and not only self-sufficient, we are exporting that to other GA. Because pipeline connectivity is there, so whatever excess is there, so that is going to other GA. Now, how we have been able to do this is that that's a agrarian kind of a GA, where you have the agriculture waste, you have the industry, the distillery waste, the spent wash, and the press mud in nearby. So we can use that, and that is what we have demonstrated, that it is possible for CGD entities. They have to just innovate a little bit, and because everybody has to reduce their cost of gas. Sure. So that's how, for your question regarding affordability, that's how we can compete with the alternate fuels, with EVs, everything. So we can compete only when we reduce. What we have done is, we have taken this gas and installed further purification equipments or guard bed to inject into the steel network. So that now it is PNGRB pipeline specification compliant. The regulations we have is that it should be CGD has or CBG has a special some specification, but that is not complying to the pipeline specification. So there we have put some specialized equipment just to remove the impurities, because the current specification talks only about CO2 as an impurity, but for us CO2 is inert. The other impurities are more critical, like moisture, oxygen, and H2S. So these three, so we are focused on that. Second is few innovations or the technological, as you said, if I can share with the audience, is that IGL is the only company which is using for CNG the compressors ranging from 350 SCMH to 2400 SCMH.
Right, sir.
So in Delhi we have, because the space constraint is there, so we have used first CGD entity using 2400 SCMH compressors. And for smaller GAs, like for example Ajmer, where the area is larger, but the density is less. So there we are using 350 SCMH. So that's the kind of spread we have. And in between you have 600, 1200 kind of compressors. And as far as PNG is concerned, there we have, what we have done is, because we operate in a highly dense area of Delhi. So what we have done is we have introduced another layer, that 100 millibar kind of a regulator, from 4 millibar to 100 millibar and then to the homes.
Right.
So what that has done is reduce the pressure, reduce the, the volume of gas that is there in the pipeline, so the safety aspect.
Yeah.
Keeping the safety aspect. These are a couple of innovations that we have done.
Sure. Mr. Chakravarti, we can perhaps switch from technology to regulatory frameworks, which are also an essential part of, building the market, taking it to a stage, and of course, especially if it's a nascent stage or it's progressing, we need the regulators on board. So from Gail's perspective, how do you view the regulatory landscape, and perhaps what do you seek of the regulators going forward?
You say that regulator is doing great, and they are always in synergy with the CGD companies, and all the things are in place as far as regulation and from the government of India is concerned. But in the field, actually, the implementation of those things are really a challenge, because you know that getting a permission is a huge challenge. Sometimes it requires more than a year time. And you know that whenever there is a time overrun, there is a cost overrun. And these CGD companies are, it is a highly cost-intensive industry, and any escalation will hurt us very badly. So in field, we need more support from mostly the state governments and all, and they should prioritize these activities. For them, probably CGDs are in the last priority activities, probably after water or electricity, or even telecom sector is before, and there are many construction activities are going on. So we need more focus in this particular area, and also getting the lands, because as you know that we have started little bit late. You require more CNG stations, more gas distribution stations, where you require a land in preferably in a premium locations, and where the cost of the land is now huge. So we need government support to that. So probably regulator is doing their job pretty well, but in the field we require more things to be done.
Sure. Mr. Manglani, we were talking about the proof of concept of some sort of an ideal framework that would encourage the CDZ business. So for the benefit of our audience, what is your take on what could be a possible ideal framework for encouraging the CGD business?
I think, again, it's a very important question. And as Sandeep ji said, that there are a lot of challenges for CGD. Not only you see customer affordability, but what about viability of a CGD entities itself, which is more vital for the nation, that such a massive investment, as Abhilesh was saying, that, and I feel very proud that, CGD sector has invited 100% FDI, and they're doing quite well. And Gautamji said, there are challenges in the field. Let me sum up in that sense that while I fully agree that there's a huge holistically policy development in terms of whether it is upstream, because it's related. If upstream doesn't get fully developed, we will always be dependent on imports. So there is a holistic development on upstream, which is perhaps to encourage more and more domestic production. A lot of development on midstream. You are seeing how the national gas grid is expanding. Number of RLNG terminals are expanding. And then we see downstream, which is the CGD infrastructure. As I said in my opening remarks, that today whole of India is authorized now to develop the city gas system. It's a real, if you look at from landscape perspective, huge policy focus on upstream. There is a separate regulator, DGH. Then there is a significant development going on through regulator and the government policies on the midstream and downstream both. Is it all ideal? Of course, industry will always be looking forward more and more policy developments. Because India, our Honorable Prime Minister had set the tone of his vision that India has to move from 6% to 15% by 2030. Now, as yesterday, Honorable Minister stated that we are more closer to 6 than going towards 15, even after so many years left. But doesn't mean that India has not progressed on gas consumption. In terms of an absolute volume, I think we have doubled the volume. But because energy basket is growing so much with India GDP growing 6, 7, 8%, gas is remaining at around similar 6, 6.5%, sometime even 5.5, 5.8 or 9%. Is that doable by 2030? Most of the people think it is not doable, by the way. 6 to 15%, most of the policy or our industrial friends, they think now it could be somewhere middle. But is it doable? I think it is doable, in my view. But provided we take certain steps, we collaborate, as Sandeep ji said rightly, that there is a synchronized policy framework is required. What do we need to do? I think if we need to achieve 6 to 15, or we would be pushing towards that direction, that we don't say after some time that we are still closer to 6. We would be closer to 10, 11, whatever is possible. Certain steps have to be taken. At least I would narrate what I think we should be taking decisions on downstream city gas distribution side. City gas distribution, one is this dialogue which we do here. A lot of discussions takes place in many forums. It remains as a discussion in this room only.
Sir.
How do we get this dialogue summarized, communicated to the policy makers? That vibration should continuously be happening. That from each dialogue, let's say India Energy Week sends a summarized position of what did finally emerged. Now, you are not giving advocacy, you are just stating this was the position, this was the views expressed. That if we do these things, perhaps India would be moving to 6 to 15% much faster way.
Sure.
Or it would make CGD entities more viable to invest more, accelerate more, and connect more.
Ji.
Correct? So one important part is how do we move from this dialogue in this room to send the right messages on a continuous basis to policymakers. So they are aware this is continuous sound is being made. Second, in India, I think people are, almost Indian audience, so I may say something in Hindi actually. We have, 6 to 15%, generally I keep speaking in many forums and I say, for us, this is a Gayatri Mantra, which has been stated, that 6 to 15, you go, every forum you will find this for last several years going on. So I say normally that ab time has come where Gayatri Mantra ko man mein bolo.
Absolutely.
But gas chalisa ko soundly bolo.
True.
We need a gas chalisa. It means lot has been done. Out of that chalisa, you may have 15, 20 points which have been already cleared. Be grateful for that. We must be grateful for what has been achieved, what has been done by state governments. We see so many state policies are coming up. Karnataka said 1 rupee per meter reinstatement, the permission charge, which is fantastic. Assam says deemed permission, phenomenal. How do we bring those replication to other states and bring, as somebody said, ideal policy and you said ideal policy. So I think we should be grateful for these 10, 15, 20 things which have been done from this chalisa, gas chalisa. Remaining things, what we need to do. Couple of things I will give you now here, but there are many more things in my mind, but time is not there. So I would only give you 2, 3 more important part to audience. One is, I think, how do we enhance the utilization of CGD networks? And for that, important is we must encourage, promote use of natural gas in MSMEs. We have more than 1 million MSME in this country. And largely barring some NCR areas, unless and until gas is cheaper than alternate fuel, they are not using it. They are finding ways and around to, and even in NCR, they are finding ways around to use pollutant fuel because they want to be competitive. There is no level playing that a MSME located in NCR makes the same thing what somebody in Haryana, UP or Assam, they will make it, but they can use alternate fuel. Now, how this entity will compete in domestic or export market? Obviously, answer is it will be difficult for them. So how do we bring the level playing field for entire MSME? So we have been requesting policy makers to look into it, that MSME should be given some sort of a stability of affordable price through consumption-linked incentive.
Right.
We are giving today for even for various manufacturing, because we want to make in India here, and India wants to be Atmanirbhar. We are actually giving production-linked incentive (PLI), which is which should be done because it creates huge employment. But similarly, we are saying to bring India on one stage. We have done the Swachh Bharat. Now we do the stage 2 Swachh Bharat is the MSME cleanup. They should not use pollutant fuel. They should use natural gas as their preferred choice through consumption-linked incentive for 3 to 5 years so that they can achieve the payback. And whole of India MSME is now using natural gas, so there is no issue of non-competition.
Right.
It's a competition. Everybody's production cost is similar. Efficient person will have better cost. So MSME is one area which can add more than 100 million standard cubic meter additionally if everyone adopts natural gas. So this is one. The second is, again, how do we bring level playing field on several fuels which are being used? There was a need for transaction policies to be formulated. There was a policy for CNG promotion. We did a lot of investment in CNG. Then policy came for CBG. People started developing CBG. Then now policy is coming on EV. Demand side, supply side, all side incentives are being given. It needed because government wants to promote a particular type of a fuel. Then tomorrow there will be hydrogen coming. Ethanol we are giving some blending incentives. So I'm saying these transaction policies were needed at that point of a time. Today, as Honorable Minister was saying, several fuels have to coexist. How do we bring level playing in those fuels in terms of taxation, fiscal benefits? Today you buy EV vehicle which runs on a conventional electricity is far cheaper in terms of taxation and fiscal benefits versus a CNG vehicle. We are also cleaning climate. I think we should not be penalized. We should have a similar policy framework. So just take a minute or more. Then I am saying we bring level playing field. How do we bring? Our suggestion is that policymakers should consider, there could be multiple other solutions. How do we categorize fuels in, let's say, green fuel? Now, green fuel is real green, which is hydrogen, maybe CBG, maybe EV on renewable energy. These are green fuels. We don't mind, even if CNG is not coming in the green fuel, whatever fiscal benefits, taxations are being given by the government as a level playing field, green fuel is no problem. Then you come cleaner fuel, CNG, LPG, and PNG. There will be many other fuels which will be cleaner fuel. EV running on conventional electricity in cities. You give a similar taxation system, similar fiscal benefits, similar subsidies, incentives, then we will be knowing that if you buy EV vehicle, we have a similar taxation, we have similar benefits, similar incentives, similar subsidies. Then you have third, rest of the fuel.
Right.
Green fuel, and rest of the fuel. Rest of the fuel is diesel, petrol, and many more things, similar fiscal benefits. And then customer knows that now what vehicle I should buy. If he buys EV vehicle, he buys gas vehicle, he knows long-term stay. Government has a policy, same category. And you can probably go ahead one step further and bend the canopy with the red is a red, blue is blue and green. And you people can see, am I polluting and I am not polluting. So this is the second. The last is Har Ghar PNG. Because there is an Ujjwala, I think country needs Prajwala.
Right.
And where initial 1 or 2 crore homes should be, momentum building should happen, where similar level playing field should be brought in, where direct benefit transfer goes to the customer end, not to the CGD entity. They get back some money from what we are charging 6,000 per connection, 6,500 connection cost.
I appreciate
and
that.
Then there will be a level playing field for a Har Ghar PNG or Prajwala scheme. There are many more things, but I think you are running short of time, so I'm pausing it.
Absolutely. Mr. Jain, if I may come over to you, a special question to you. Mr. Manglani mentioned about the sort of leveling the playing field to service the population. There is this, it is established, the CGD community has its sort of fans and its propagators who say that this is the solution. Now, urban centers are spreading, not just in this country, but if we speak globally, places like Brazil and so on, perhaps Tokyo is the only metropolitan area among the largest 10 in the world, which is in a developed country. The rest are all emerging markets, developing companies. Can these networks, so assuming we say that we believe in them, can they keep pace with this rapid pace of urbanization that we are seeing, not just in this country, but in the whole world in emerging markets?
I think Sureshji has mentioned it all, but as I've understood from your question, you want Indian example to be emulated by global players, or?
Perhaps, and of course some solutions that growing urban centers could take, learn from each other. Because can these networks, if we believe in them, can they keep up pace with how these cities are growing?
Yeah, of course. One thing which I think our discussion will not be complete if I don't speak about the urban centers, which are very rapidly now coming up. It's not only tier 1, tier 2 cities which are important in the country, but we are now going down to tier 3, even tier 4 is now being talked about, because these small towns, because of internet and everything, I mean, everybody's aware. So there's no communication gap. So how do we develop these urban centers, keeping pace with the development which is expected of them?
Sure.
So for municipalities to develop, they should understand one thing very clearly, and that is where the gap is. The municipalities should understand that gas is just like a utility equivalent to what water is, what electricity is, what a telephone cable is, and what the sewage disposal pipeline is. Until or unless they don't give that kind of priority or that kind of importance to the gas pipelines or the gas network in their municipalities, in their town centers, it is not going to develop any further. Because as rightly pointed out by a number of my fellow speakers as well, that in every municipality, in every city, in every state, the policies are different. And that is where we need to, kind of synchronize, so that eventually where this development is going to take place. It is rural, getting a penetration into the rural area is far off. Leave it to LPG. We are doing very well in LPG, Ujjwala scheme. In fact, I was one of the one of the executors of Ujjwala scheme during my earlier days. So leave the rural area to the for LPG being given under this PMUY scheme. But at the same time, the urban centers, we need to provide complete PNG, complete all the process. Every household should be a PNG. I mean, it should happen like this, because APM gas is limited from well to household, and from the other side, the LNG terminal, because a lot of it, 60%, if it is going to come in the form of LNG. So the import terminal to the household. So that design we need to develop. And one thing I would like to add, in fact, I was doing one consulting assignment after I got retired from Indian Oil. One of the Middle Eastern countries, they wanted to learn about Indian model, And it was very interesting to retell the entire Indian story, which started from a public interest litigation in Delhi, and how we actually have reached the last corner of the country. And in fact, when I got superannuated, just a month back, Indian Oil got letter from Andaman and Nicobar also. And I think if Dubey is here, I mean, my CGD man of Andaman and Nicobar. So we are going to take now, Andaman and Nicobar also is going to get covered very soon. So this is the example which I shared with that Middle Eastern company through a consultant, that where the regulator focused on the outcomes, not on the operation part. Problem is that when the regulator gets into operations, the whole problem starts. Regulator should only be concerned about the outcome. They should provide the ground for facilitation, so that the entire thing is regulated in a very smooth manner. And like I said, that we need to now move from auction to execution, from bidding rounds to actual execution. That is required to be done. And of course, the urban centers are definitely going to be the next focus centers.
Sure.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, it's been a very fascinating conversation. I'm conscious of time. It's that point as we reach the conclusion of this session, it is worth asking you for your key takeaways of how your discussions have been with colleagues. So, Mr. Jain, I'll start with you very briefly. Your key takeaways for discussions amongst colleagues.
So I know that time is running out, only 15 seconds, but that's what the clock is showing. So I would say that we started with the very good approach, very good hybrid model of utility as well, and utility plus the market approach, where we've fixed some minimum work programs, ensuring that that not only the infrastructure is provided by the company, but at the same time, the market determined prices at affordable range is also provided to the consumer. So, but the final point is, of course, the synchronization, the synergy between states and the center and the regulator, that needs to be done to take it forward. Thank you.
Mr. Gupta, your brief takeaway.
Yeah, I think the important takeaway from this meeting is that while we have responsibility to deliver cheaper and affordable fuel to the household or to the CNG user or to the industry or to the commercial segment, we need to make a fine balance between the return on investment by the promoters and the investors, and also how do we reduce the delivery cost of the natural gas.
Mr. Chhatwal, over to you, sir.
My takeaway would be that CGD industries need to be slightly more aggressive and be vigilant of the bigger picture. That is, the affordability is the key to CGD entities' expansion. So there, I think my vision is to make gas available at the same price as Ujjwala cylinder. So that translates to around 40 rupees per SCM of domestic gas. So that I think we will be able, 40 rupees PNG and 45 rupees CNG.
Sure.
In SCM terms. So
Mr.
that is the broader vision, and we will make it happen.
Sure, sir. Mr. Chakravarti, your concluding thoughts, please, sir.
It is actually CGD will be the center stage for bringing that primary energy baskets requirement from 6% to 15%. So there is no doubt of it. And one thing that I have already told, that ease of doing business, that should not be on the paper. It should be really in the field.
Sure, sir. Mr. Mangalani, final thoughts to you, sir.
I think final comment would be that what we take away from here is that authorities have done a lot.
Sir.
Policy makers are doing their bit. I think as Mr. Kamal Chettiwalji said, time is there now. Call is on us as well. What we have been doing, we need to accelerate more and more expansion, bring wider consumer base into our kitty, so that our voice is further heard by policy makers, and this kind of a collaboration should continue to ensure that India emerges in the next decade, as Kamalji was saying, as the CGD nation.
Gentlemen, many, many thanks for your time and insights. It's been a fascinating conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, the next session here is the OPEC World Outlook, and it's going to be presented by Dr. Abdul Razak Ben Yusuf, who's the head of Energy Studies Department, the research division at OPEC in Vienna. So stay in your seats. That follows next, but all that remains is for me to thank our eminent panel, and we really appreciate their time and their insight. A round of applause, please. Thank you.